And that jarring cacophony tells you that once again you're listening to The Power of Three, that Scottish Doctor Who podcast without portfolio. And once again, we are delighted to welcome back, for many reasons, cover artist extraordinaire and so much more. Welcome back to the show. Oh, wait a minute, hang on. I'm here also with Kenny Smith. Say hello, Kenny.
Hello, Kenny.
Yes, where was I? Yes, it's Will Brooks.
Woo!
Hi, William. What's happening?
Oh, what isn't happening? Every time I escape, I come straight here.
Well, that's quite a nice thing to say. Thank you.
I think that's a compliment.
Yes.
Yes.
What was the compliment?
You've just been to the Gallifrey convention, is that right?
I have. I got back end of last week, and the jet lag is kicking me this time. I've been lying awake until 3 a.m. Oh, it's horrible. But yes, I'm back.
I worked my way around that. Well, when I went 3 years ago, don't like to talk about it much, and I just stayed up virtually all the time. I stayed up almost all night and just got by in 4 hours sleep. So then when I get back, I just crashed, so the jet lag didn't really hit me.
Maybe that's what I need to try.
Yes, that's you told.
Party. That's my advice.
We were talking to Keith the other day, and he'd been there. So, what was your experience of Gallifrey? Any gossip? Anyone you hadn't met before that you got to talk to, or anything?
It was lovely this year. It was really, really nice. I had some lovely chats in the green room, which I'm sure I'm not allowed to spoil, but they were very nice. We had a big discussion about the Archers, so I now know which Doctor Who actors listen to the Archers and which don't. Because I overheard someone sort of telling another Doctor Who actor, no one listens to the Archers. At which point I went, well, I thought last night's episode was terribly good. So that was quite nice. And I know where everyone's at. I know which Doctor Who companions think George Grundy had it coming and which don't. So that keeps me satisfied.
I've never heard a single second of it.
I don't think I have either, apart from, if it's been used in situ somewhere or anything. Kenny and I had a nice weekend, didn't we, Kenny? We sat at McDonald's in Modern Round Hampden for a little while. Now, outside of Hampden anyway. So, and the German Lloyds are working perfectly. So, William, to what do we owe the pleasure?
Well, I'm back to pitch you some lovely things and to sing the praises of the always wonderful Adrian Salmon.
Well, shall we start with Adrian, because he is, after all, a bit of a living legend. If you know your Bernice Summerfield and you know your Doctor Who magazine, the name just needs no further introduction. But we better just mention who he is, just in case people don't. So, Will, introduce him and tell us what he does.
Adrian Salmon is a brilliant illustrator, and he's worked on numerous things over the years. He's quite well known for 2000 AD. He did a lot of advertising work. He does his own graphic novel, Terry Sharp, but Doctor Who fans are going to know him best because he did the Bernice Summerfield covers for Big Finish for about 10 years. He did all their CDs, all their books, but more importantly for us, he did all the illustrations for the Time Team in Doctor Who magazine. And he did hundreds of them. He did all the classic series, loads of the new series. He's got a very striking style. Once you've seen Adrian's style, you can pick it out from 100 paces. Although it did make me laugh. Someone at Gallifrey was looking at some of Adrian's work that I had with me, and he said, well, this person's just trying to copy the Bernice Summerfield covers. And I kind of had to say, no.
Gee whiz. That's class. Did you enjoy schooling them?
I did. I very much did.
Good. Are we going to name and shame? No, we're not that kind of podcast. You and Adrian have been working on a book, collecting all of his Time Team illustrations, and a little bit more than that, isn't that right?
That is, yeah. So the Time Team, they ran it for the original run 10 years, and it was for Doctor Who fans, watch Doctor Who in order from the start, and they chat about it every issue. But my favourite part of the feature was that they had Adrian do a great big illustration for each issue, which meant he covered most of the stories. And every time I'd buy Doctor Who magazine, that would be the first place I turned to. I wanted to see Adrian's new art. And I used to get really annoyed because when Doctor Who came back to TV, they decided it was more important to cover modern, current, actually brand new Doctor Who. So some months you wouldn't get a Time Team. I used to be really cross about that. But Adrian did all of these illustrations, and for years we've wanted to collect them. And people always tweet him all the time, when are you going to do a book of all your Time Teams? And he kept putting it off and putting it off. And then we found the secret magic word that would get him to do it, which is there were 25 stories that he didn't get to illustrate. Because of the way the magazine was formatted, they did 8 episodes every issue, so sometimes he had to choose which story to draw.
Yeah.
Until I went to him a couple of years ago and I said, look, I want to collect all your pieces and I want you to draw all the ones you didn't do before. And as soon as we said that, he kind of went, well, I can't turn that down, can I? So yes, we've collected all of them and all these new ones. So it's every classic Doctor Who story, Unearthly Child, right through to the TV movie, all drawn by Adrian.
Amazing.
And they're stunning.
Amazing. What I always used to like about those illustrations was that it wasn't always the obvious sort of scene that he would pick. And I always enjoyed the original Time Team feature. Like a lot of people, I was inspired to do my own consecutive watch through of the whole series. And I've been nagging Kenny for months that he should try the same. And it was always a highlight to sort of go, right, which moment is he from, the Crusade or whatever, or maybe he didn't do the Crusade, you can tell me in a second. Which picture, which scene from which story has he chosen to illustrate? I mean, was that ever dictated to Adrian? Did he choose himself which bits to use?
Yeah, he broadly did.
Right.
In the book we've done a commentary talking to Adrian and talking to all the people. So Gary Gillett, who was editor when it started, he talks about the origins of the feature, and he told Adrian early on that he wanted it to look the way you remembered Doctor Who when you were a kid. Because when we watch it, I mean, look, we all love Doctor Who, but we also know it was made in pokey BBC studios on a budget of 25p. So it doesn't always look great, but we overlook that because we love it. Whereas what Adrian was told is basically go in, you have no budget, make it look the way you imagine it. And you're right, he always picked really unusual moments. And that was part of the fun with these new ones. Because obviously I knew which ones he was going to do. And he worked through them mostly in order. But it was a thrill just getting to see, that's not the bit I thought he would pick. And as it went on, I thought, I'm getting the hang of this now. I'm starting to work out which he'll pick. And he still managed to surprise me most of the time.
Give us a couple of examples then, without spoiling. Give us a couple of stories that maybe you anticipate a certain scene and he did a different one. Can you remember any specifics?
Well, the big one, it was one of the last ones he did for us, was the Time Warrior. Because there was a run in the late Pertwee. Season 11, I think, only got 2 illustrations originally. Right. And so there were 3 stories missing. And so he did that one for us. And I thought, well, obviously it's going to be the helmet coming off. And, oh, my God, it's a baked potato.
Yes.
But it wasn't. He went for the moment that Iron Grun finds him in the basement of the castle and he gets shot by Lynx. I've handily got my book to hand, so I will show you. I don't think we've shared this one. But
for the benefit of our YouTube viewers.
For the benefit of the YouTube viewers. This is his gorgeous piece.
Oh, yes.
For the Time Warrior.
Excellent. That's brilliant. That captures it perfectly, doesn't it?
It's stunning. It does, but it's not the moment, because I assume, of course, it's going to be that cliffhanger moment.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah, you can imagine it in an Adrian style with Johnsy ducking down behind the thing and Lynx being sort of like, with a helmet and good grief. You can imagine that quite well. Yeah, that's fun. So that I
loved it.
You had a Kickstarter for the book, is that right?
We did, yes. We kickstarted it end of 2024, start of 2025. I think it went over New Year.
That's ages ago. It's been that long since you were on. Wow, okay.
That's ages.
It's been a little while. Yeah. We were hoping to have it out by now, but I think we had slightly underestimated how long it would take to draw all of these brand new illustrations.
Of course.
And I didn't want to rush Adrian either, because I thought you can't rush genius. But he's finished. It's literally, I've pressed the button this week. It's gone off to print.
Wonderful.
So it should be winging its way to people in a couple of weeks' time, which is nice.
So can people still get hold? I'm asking for myself here, obviously, having seen it. Then you've held it up, and the nice Time Warrior drawing. Can latecomers still purchase the book?
They can. So it's available from roundellbooks.co.uk, and it's available on there. I think it's up as a pre-order, and as soon as all the Kickstarter copies have gone out in a couple of weeks,
right,
Gareth will then start working through website pre-orders,
right,
and it'll be available from there. We'll have it at events with us as well when we always do Hooverville every year, and we've started doing London Film and Comic Con and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's always quite nice. We had a few with us at Gallifrey because you have to do the print runs, like the proof copies, to check everything is right. And so, but in order to make it viable, you have to order about 20 books. And so we always take a few of the proofs with us, and they're not quite the finished copies, but it's like a nice little advanced preview. Yeah. So yes, it will be out there. It's available. You can still pick one up.
Good.
It's a gorgeous book.
That's all right then.
I mean, Will, the design of it is fantastic, as we would expect from your good self, but it's just the fact there's real rough sketches and things like that in there. And you do see that, you do get an idea as to how Adrian's creative process works. It's fantastic to see.
You do. One of the things that was really interesting, Adrian, I hope you won't mind me saying this, he's a bit of a hoarder when it comes to his work. So he's kept scans of all the pencils, all of the inks, lots of the little preparatory sketches that he did. I love, there's a double-page spread for the Ark, and he's got sketches of how am I going to draw a monoid. Let me find it. It's early on, but it's stunning. But he's kept. Well, okay, this is
page 68. Will.
Oh, is it? Lovely. Oh, you're more on this.
Kenny, that's astonishing that you knew that. I'm scared.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
There's one off my lucky number.
Hey!
67.
So you've got his finished art that he did in 1999 or whatever.
Wow.
But he kept all of his doodles of here's the monoid.
Amazing.
Here's what it might look like.
What a guy.
And so that's been fun. And it's also been really useful because the William Hartnell ones, he used to draw and then watercolour by hand, scan in, and that was the finished piece. So when he sold those off 25 years ago, they were gone. So we were able to track some back down. Ben Cook owned one of them. He scanned in for us. Peter Ware, Richard Bignell, they owned a couple. We scanned them back in. But there were a few we couldn't track down. So Adrian was able to use the original black and white scan of the ink he had, and then he has repainted them to match what they would have looked like. He's put a lot of work in on this one. Bless it.
Wow. Yep, it sounds like it sounds like an essential, to be honest, doesn't it? It's fun looking back and sort of remembering that time, because especially when Time Team started, the magazine itself was probably, I think, at the height of its powers, because it was we were all basically resigned to the fact there wasn't going to be a new series. As good as the McGann movie had been and what it gave us, we felt that was the last sort of throw of the dice. And the magazine, the quality of the writing and the depth of the research the magazine was doing at this point was huge. And Time Team was a perfect sort of accompaniment to that, because it was stripping away all of your sort of preconceptions and you receive wisdom and just doing the stories as they came. And Clayton and Jacqueline and the others, just, and Peter and Richard, they gave it, they kind of drip fed a real sort of insight. And that's why, when it was a good long time before I started my own watch through. I think it was 2008, prompted by the bonus features and the Five Doctors special edition. And it was an utterly transformative experience. So many ideas I had in my head about the programme just changed completely. And I wouldn't have done it if the Time Team feature hadn't been sort of... Because loads of people started doing it. I remember other folks saying, "Oh, yeah, I've started. Have you done your Time Team yet? I'm doing my Time Team." And it became a sort of catchphrase for watching it all from the start. And this book is going to be a nice accompaniment. Kenny, I'm going to nag you until you do it. Honestly, I know I was nagging you on Sunday. He's a difficult man to persuade, William.
Yeah.
You do need to do it. I've done the complete watch through twice. I love it.
Interesting, because I keep spending my spare time editing podcasts and writing Vortex.
Yes. Yeah, but you would do. But each, as you've often said, each episode's only 25 minutes. You'd get through it 2 or 3 a week. You'd be surprised, and then the more you watch, the more you sort of. I'll tell you, a story I was always kind of on the fence about was Tomb of the Cybermen. but I remember very clearly. But this is honestly no lie here. 2009, when I was going through the Trout and stuff, and I what I used to do each night was I'd do 2 episodes at a time. If I had it on DVD, I could watch it in the kitchen whilst I was cooking. If I had to go through the living room and watch it in VHS, I would only watch 1 episode a night. But I remember doing the first 2 episodes of Tomb of the Cybermen and walking to work the next morning just being like, oh God, I can't wait to go home and watch the next 2 episodes of Tomb of the Cybermen. I was buzzing. And a similar sort of thing had happened when I finished The Toy Maker. I remember cheating and doing the first episode of The Gunmakers. No, not The Gunmakers. That's a line from a Hamish Hawk song. The first episode of The Gunfighters, because I want that Doctor breaking his tooth cliffhanger was too much. I had to see what happened next. And honestly, Kenny, you'll find, you can't use the excuse for editing the podcast because it's you that decides to make 360 episodes a year. You'd find, honestly, start with An Earthly Child, leave it all behind and just go with it, and you'll find that you'll love it. It will make the programme, honestly, so fresh for you in a way. He's not even looking at the camera, listeners. He's not even listening to me. He's tuning out completely because he's heard it all before. It'll freshen up the whole thing for you completely, honestly. And if Will and I can't persuade you, no one else is. Who else is going to be able to try and persuade you? We're not lying to you.
Sheridan Smith dressed as Power Girl would convince me.
Oh God! Right, I'm going to have a word with Sheridan Smith then, aren't I?
She's in Glasgow next month, so.
Oh God! Right, I'm not surprised that you know that. You're mad stalker.
Anyway, but no, that's fantastic, and really looking forward to getting a physical copy. So, thank you for sharing that, Will. Now, of course, Will, you were on quite recently when you spoke just about Go Figure, and I believe you've been working on a sequel volume about. Is it some obscure little TV show that I've never heard of called something like Space Trip or something?
Oh, ignore him, listeners. Ignore him. He's at it. He is at it.
This is like a proper football club rivalry, isn't it? This is proper.
I do football.
Yeah.
I quite like Star Trek to a point.
What was it called again, Dave? Sorry.
It's called Star Trek. You rascal.
Okay.
I've got I'm sure because there's some Star Trek stuff on some of my shelves. Yeah. William, you better tell us what you're up to then. Is it essentially a Star Trek version of Go Figure?
Pretty much, yeah. So we did Go Figure, which came out last year, and it was a guide to all the Doctor Who action figures by character options. And we're now doing the second volume of Go Figure, which is all the 4.5-inch figures for Star Trek that Playmates put out. And they did them for most of the 90s. It ran. I almost thought you had a Deanna Troi there, but no, there you go.
Oh, there you go. Deanna Troi figure I was holding up for the benefit of our viewers.
He's showing off. He's showing off again, listeners.
We can do our own little crossover.
Let's stop interrupting William. Let's let William say what he's saying. You better say that last bit again, Will.
That's fine. So we're doing a book. The second volume is all the 4.5-inch Star Trek figures from Playmates. And they ran for most of the 90s. They brought them back a couple of years ago, and they did about 2 waves and then decided not to do any more. But we're doing all of those as well. And it's quite a nice... What we found is when we did the first Go Figure, people kept saying, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And I always wanted to do these Playmates figures. And then late in production on Go Figure, we needed to check a detail on a Doctor Who figure. And so I went to Gary Russell's house, and he has all his Doctor Who toys up in his attic on these big shelves on the walls. And so we went up and we checked, and I turned around and there was another shelf full of these Playmates Star Trek toys. And I said, I want to do this book. Have you got them all? And he said, yes. I said, are you sure you've got them all? Yes. Well, so then I kept trying to catch him out, and I looked. They did a Data in the red uniform, which he only wore in, I think, 2 episodes. Okay. And it was really rare. It was a J.C. Penney's exclusive. And I said to Gary, I bet you haven't got the red Data. And he went, yes, I have. It's down here. And he got that one. I went, okay, fine. And then I saw online there was a really rare Admiral Janeway figure. And someone had posted it online. And everyone was saying, I've never seen this. I didn't even know they made this. And I phoned Gary up and I said, I bet you haven't got that one. And he went, yes, I have. It's here. And so I went, all right. That's a sign we're going to do this book.
Yes.
So we've been working on this for a few months now. It's currently on Kickstarter.
Right.
We've literally this morning crossed the £10,000 threshold. So we're getting there. But it's a rare one for us because at Roundel, we always do Doctor Who. And this is the first time we've stepped away from that world. So it's a slightly scary prospect.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure what the crossover is in our listenership between, Doctor Who fans and Star Trek fans, but the Star Trek fandom is massive. I'm sure still. So any help we can give to kind of make people aware, we're only too happy to do so.
Yep. You better tell us the book's title because it made me laugh when I saw it.
Well, so our first volume, our Doctor Who volume, was Go Figure. And our Star Trek volume, of course, is Too Boldly Go Figure. Which, when I first pitched it, I said to Gary, I want to call it Too Boldly Go Figure. And he went, oh, that's awful. And then Rory and Matt, who were working on the book doing the photos, they both sat there and they went, that's wonderful. And so Gary was overruled, and we've gone with it.
That'll do.
So again, has this been a case of getting people to research, get all the packaging and things like that, and shuttlecraft and all the associated bits that goes with it?
Yes, well, the tricky thing this time is I'm writing this one. And so I've been the one having to do all the research. And it's been really good fun. I've discovered that the 90s BBS boards and things, and like rec.art.action figures, they're all archived on Google. And so I spent a very enjoyable few weeks diving back into early 90s internet message boards and reading through, because I was trying to work out, when you look online, there's an awful lot of, well, these waves all came out in 1993, but no indication of when.
Sure.
And so I was going back through all these posts, and you've got people in June of 1993 saying, well, I've just been to Toys R Us and they haven't got it yet. And someone else saying, well, my Toys R Us have it on the East Coast. And so that's been great fun to work out.
Sounds so familiar with Doctor Who figures and B&Ms.
Yes. Yeah. It's never changed 30 years later.
Let me ask, this is not something I'm kind of aware of at all. I don't think I've ever owned a... Oh, no, that's not true. I did have an action figure of Dr. McCoy from Star Trek The Motion Picture a long time ago. But Star Trek action figures in the 90s, I remember them. I remember FP having a few of them, I'm sure. So, I mean, did they make them for all the series, for all the modern series? Did they do any classic characters? How did it all work?
They did. So they started off, it launched in 92, and it came out just as Next Gen was starting its 6th season.
Right.
So that first wave is most of the Next Generation crew, but not Dr. Crusher. And you get a Ferengi and a Romulan and things like that. They did a couple of years of those, and then they did, I think they did it in 1993, might have been 94. They did a box set, the classic Enterprise Bridge crew, and it was all the main characters from TOS. So Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Scotty, Sulu, Chekhov, Uhura, and it was like all 7 of them in a box, which was done to look like the bridge of the Enterprise. Nice. And once they'd done that, it sort of opened the floodgates. And they did Deep Space Nine and Voyager, and they did movie figures, and there's all sorts of it. You can even they did an Andorian with a big fluffy pink cape, which I love. It's a ridiculous figure, but I love it. Yeah. They did Edith Keeler, who was Joan Collins.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
way back excellent. Wow. She hasn't got any articulation, so it's basically a little model of Joan Collins that you can put on your shelf. But I love that,
Yeah, amazing. So there's quite a range then, quite a depth of content.
There's quite a lot, yeah. There's about 270 figures, plus some variant. So they did quite a few. They did a bridge play set, they did a transporter room and some shuttles and things. We're only doing the 4.5-inch figures, because they did start to play around with, when the movie First Contact came out, they released figures for all those characters, but they made them 6-inch. So they didn't match anything else they'd made. And fans at the time, I can tell you, were not happy. So we're not worrying about all the other scales right now. We're just doing the core line.
So if this book is successful enough, do you have any plan to do a volume 2? Would you cover the 6-inch stuff? Would you cover the Mego figures in the 70s? Is that something you'd be interested in doing? Right.
Yeah, I think quite possibly. There's enough material for a second volume covering, because they did 6-inch, they did 9-inch, they did some 12-inch like dollies. They did various spaceships and things in different scales. There's enough there to do a volume 2. Yeah. We're also looking at, it's the early stages, but we still want to do Dapol and things for Doctor Who.
Of course.
And there's various other toy ranges that we'd love to do. So the door is always open there.
So you're on Kickstarter. What are the various sort of tiers, levels, incentives, etc.?
We've got a handful of them this time. What we've done, when we did the original Go Figure, we made so much extra stuff which just slowed down the whole process. And it meant it took us ages to get the book out for people. So we've done away with a lot of that this time.
Right.
What we've learned is that people want the book, and that's it, more or less.
Sure.
So we've got a few tiers. We've got the standard one, which is £35, and it's just a softback copy of the book.
Cool.
And then the hardback, this time, we're only doing via Kickstarter, because the price of making hardbacks has suddenly skyrocketed the last 2 years, and they've become almost impossible to do.
Okay.
So we are doing a hardback. It's got a different cover. You can only get it on the Kickstarter. It's one of my favourite things we're doing the Klingon version, where the front cover image is recreated, but only with Klingon figures, and we've translated the title into Klingon. That's a lot of fun. I had to get in touch with. There is a Klingon language institute where they teach Klingon, and so we spoke to them and we said, look, what's the best? And we worked with them and we came up with a title, which I'm not going to say because I can't pronounce it.
No, I thought learning Scottish Gaelic was a waste of time, but
oh, meow, claws out, baby.
Oh.
So William, if people are interested, want to support you, etc., how do they find you on Kickstarter? What's it listed under?
If you head to Kickstarter and search for To Boldly Go Figure, or for Roundel Books, we've set up a new Roundel Books account on Kickstarter, because obviously we started as Cutaway Comics, and we've done most of our Kickstarters through that. But we've done so many books now that it felt right that we split off there. So yeah, if you search for To Boldly Go Figure or Roundel Books on Kickstarter, it runs until I think March 8th. So there's just over 2 weeks left to go from recording. Yes, there's still a week and a bit to go from there. So there's still a bit of time, yeah.
Yep, that's fantastic, Will. I'm intrigued. I mean, as you say, I know nothing about the show, but I'm intrigued. Well, I know virtually nothing about the show, but I'm intrigued by the book because I like toys.
Yes, it's quite fun to look at.
We're always glad to get you on for Blethren and do a shameless plug. There's absolutely no harm in it.
So what else have you got on the schedules, Will? Anything that's worth mentioning yet?
Oh, I'm trying to work out what we've announced and what we haven't. So this year we've really ramped up what we're working on. And we've got a load of titles in the pipeline that are all really exciting. And so we are working on the next 2 volumes of the DNA of Doctor Who. We've just done our Graham Williams volume, which is being posted out in a couple of weeks. Poor Gareth, he's having the Time Team books and all these Graham Williams books. They're all turning up at the same time. And then he's got to post them out to everyone. So I don't think he's looking forward to that. But we've started work on the next 2 volumes of that. And we're doing some really interesting eras. So that will be a lot of fun. We're doing our first photo book, which I don't know how much I can say at this stage, but I will say it's lots of behind-the-scenes photos from Doctor Who related things. And we're doing a lovely photo book and sort of a diary of the making of something, which I think we'll be announcing soon, but I don't quite think everything's signed off yet. So I won't give them too many more details, but that's going to be, I think, very
intriguing.
Popular.
Well, when it's announced, obviously, you can come back on and tell us all about it. Hopefully it won't be too long.
Oh, yes.
Because it's been a while since we've seen you.
Yes. And I'm always happy to turn up.
Yes, that's it. I've got a packet of crisps over here.
Exactly. Yeah. Like
Get Brooks. Yeah. Get Brooks on the phone. 20 quid in it for him if he opens his packet of crisps. Amazing. Wonderful. Right. Well, listeners, if you're interested in supporting Will's latest action figure endeavour, you know where to go. And as I say, we'll get Will back when this behind the scenes photo book. Interesting. We'll get him back on when that appears. So once again, as we're recording, I'll mention that Kenny's making a massive contribution to the Earth 2 podcast at the moment. He's starring as our big bad King Kull as we cover the 1976 Justice League Justice Society crossover. We're still to record the wrap-up episode, but that should be getting done the next few days. Once Peter finishes the edit to part 3, which I think part 3 will drop the same day as this episode of P of 3.
Indeed.
So if you haven't got enough Kenny and David today, you can get some more.
And of course, there will be some more. There will be a bonus P of 3 this Saturday because it's our 500th episode.
Bloody hell.
And we're going to be looking at a lost story that not a lot of people know about. But which one is it? You'll have to join us and find out on Saturday morning.
Interesting. On that bombshell. William, thank you so much. Lovely to see you.
Thank you.
And we're going to play it today with the Smiths. William, it was really nothing, because frankly, it was everything.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
The rain falls hard on a humdrum town. This town has dragged you down. Oh, the rain falls hard on a humdrum town. This town has dragged you down. And everybody's got to live their life. And God knows I've got to live mine. God knows I've got to live mine. You like to come by the ring. She doesn't care about anything. Would you like to marry me? And if you like to come by